All right. I'm sorry. Instagram looked like it was about to start tripping. So if you're watching the replay, you can go ahead and skip a few seconds ahead. My name is Brittany Green, and I am the CEO and founder of Crown Financials, where I educate my students on how to increase their credit score anywhere from 50 to 300 points without having to hire a credit repair company. So I thought this topic would be pretty cool today because I see a lot of people on Facebook and they tag me in it, where they're like credit help. Who has a credit specialist? Who has this? Who has that? Right? So I'm pretty sure you see these posts. I know a lot of y'all do because y'all tag me in it and I love it. I appreciate it. But while I'm on those posts, I see a lot of people stating what I quoted on the title and in here. Child, you don't need a credit repair company. You can do it yourself. And while I agree, y'all got to stop sending these folks in blindly. And here's why. Because there's a disconnect. And that disconnect is always leads back to direction. Either wrong direction from the credit repair company, either wrong direction from themselves trying to figure it out. But really, the direction is either going to make you or it's going to break you. And that's just the end all be all. So y'all gonna see me looking down a little bit because I created notes. You know what I'm saying? And I think I don't want to miss any points. But listen, I have been in this game for going on 4 years. This year will be my 4th year in the game, and I have tried different strategies for clients. And though I have seen results in every aspect of doing this, when I was with a company and I was helping people do it, when I first started on my own and I was doing it for people, now to the point where I'm teaching people to do it themselves. Let me tell you something. There is power in doing it yourself. But here's what I mean when I say that. I don't mean just sending off a bunch of letters. So let's get that squared away, right? I don't just mean letters. Because if you ask me, do I work with 609 letters? No, I do not. And the reason why, I used to, but I don't anymore because I already see the shift. There is actually going to be a shift where they're taking away the power of 609. I may be very, very, very premature with this, but I already know that it's coming because I've done, had conversations, been in some meetings, this, that, and the third. The 609 way still works. Don't get me wrong. It still works. However, a lot of these letters that y'all are finding on Google without personalizing it themselves, without adding, following the proper instructions in the proper direction, you're getting the runaround where the bureaus are going to respond back to you and say, oh, it's verified. Oh, it's verified. Oh, it's verified. And you're sitting here frustrated trying to figure out, well, how is it always verified? How did y'all come up with this? If you do not have the education, I'm telling you, you're going to go in that direction of hitting a dead end. So the number one thing that I see people recommending is certain Facebook groups or certain groups that are teaching you how to repair your credit yourself for free. And though I have absolutely nothing wrong with, I think this is great, especially when you're going to be on Google, when you're going to be on YouTube. You want some type of community that has, that's been where you are and have gotten out of it. But here is why I think a system of knowing what you're doing is important. Because look at this. Think about this. In those Facebook groups or in those groups, it's kind of hard. Well, I won't say it's hard. It is a little bit difficult to follow their blueprint if their blueprint is not what you need. Meaning, everyone doesn't have the same type of file. Everybody doesn't have the same type of file. So what worked for them may not be the best situation for you. So the first thing is first, you need education because you need to know how to interpret your file. Hands down, Connected 5. If you're going to go on this road by yourself, you got to become educated. I'm 4 years in the game and I'm still becoming educated. I don't think I'll ever know 100% every single thing within the credit industry. It's a huge thing, right? But I've been able to create a blueprint based on knowing how to interpret a file. So the first thing first, If you're going to go into these Facebook groups, if you're going to go onto Google, if you're going to go into YouTube, the first thing that you need to be doing is learning how to interpret your file so that you know what you need when you need it. Because if you don't know how to interpret your file, if you don't know the difference between FICO and Vantage, if you don't know the difference between a dispute and a validation, the bureaus and the collection agencies, if you don't know those things, you need to know. You got to find out. You got to find out. And I had someone tell me this morning, and I had the chuckle of my lifetime. But I say this to say, I know he's going to have success. I know he's going to have success. However, let me tell you something. Get y'all foot out y'all mouth. Get y'all foot out y'all mouth. All right? Listen, can you find everything you need on Google? Heck yes, but you better know where you got to start from. Can you find everything you need on YouTube? Yep, but you better know where to start from. You better start somewhere, and you better educate yourself. An educated consumer is the best consumer, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you think for one moment that sending a letter off to the credit bureaus is the only thing that you have to do, you're in for a rude awakening. You're in for a rude awakening. Let me tell you something. Everyone's file is not the same. I have some students who they'll reach out to the credit bureaus and they'll get what they need because that's what they needed. I have some students who reach out to the collection agencies via letter. But guess what? They get what they need because that's what they need. And how do they know that? Because they know how to interpret their file. Okay? So before you think that all you gonna need is one of them 609 letters from Google that you could download and just type the information in without personalizing it, without adding the right things, because did you know that there's a separate process of reaching out to the bureaus? There's a separate process than if you were to reach out to the collection agencies. Did you know that? And if you didn't, you better go start researching. But let me tell you something. This is why a blueprint is needed. But before you can have the blueprint, you got to know what you're working with. You got to know what you're working with. And someone told me, it is not worth spending $200 for your program for things that I can find on Google. Let me tell you something. You just might be right for you. For you. But let me tell you what the program is and what the program is not. My program is not a letter, a huge, all it is you're not paying $200 for some 609 letters that you can find on Google. That's not what you're paying for. That's not what you're investing in. And it's not up to me to convince you to see that value. What it is up to me to do is to serve, to educate, so that you know. So that you know what you need to know before you get into this process. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you send out the wrong letter, you facing a lawsuit. You facing a lawsuit. Then what you going to do? Not show up to court? Oh, okay, because when you don't show up to court, that's an automatic judgment against you. They start garnishing your wages. And I'm not saying, and this is what I'm saying when I say the wrong letter. If you send out a dispute letter and they send you back the proper documentation in the mail with original contract with your signature on it, or the proper documentation to bind you to that debt, and then you continue to try to dispute, guess what they can do? Send you to court. Because they're tired of receiving your disputes, right? So this is why it is important to know the game before you get in the game. So let me tell you something. My program, and I want to clear this up just in case that anyone else has this theory, anyone else has this thought. My program is not a compilement of 609 letters that you can find on Google and YouTube. It is a blueprint to educate you on the game, the scare tactics, the violations, the different things that these collection agencies and these credit bureaus do. That is what it educates you on it before you go out and you get yourself into a whirlwind of trouble. I wouldn't discover these things unless I made the mistakes myself. I have made a lot of mistakes in my game over the past couple years. But of course, I use myself as a practicing stone. I'll put my own foot in my own ass. Notice I said ask, A-S-K. I'll put my foot in my own tail to make sure that I learn something to be able to help you guys out if you guys get in this situation. And I'll tell you, okay, this is the right dispute. Okay, no, you don't want to dispute that. You want to get this validation. You want to get this. You want to get that. This is the situation when you want to use this. This is the situation when you want to do that. Here's how you build. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. Okay? A blueprint, I don't care who you are, what it is, where your file is. Number one, you need to know how to interpret your file so you know what you need when you need it anytime. That's going to come down to understanding FICO. That's going to come down to understanding Vantage. That's going to come down to understanding what collection accounts are on your file, what they, all that. That's what that's going to come with. It is not hard to break down your report and understand what you need. It's not hard at all. It's very simple, rather. And I've created this blueprint so that it's very, very simple for you to break down, simple for you to understand, simple for you to interpret, and simple for you to take action. And a lot of people, and I'm going to tell you this right now, because when I started posting what some of my students had to say, because I literally asked them, do you think this course is difficult? And they're like, no, it's very simple. It's very well put together. I know what I need. I know how to interpret my file, so boom, I know what to do. But let me tell you something. Okay, because number one, a lot of people have been led blindly. No, you need a blueprint. I don't care if you decide to do it free or if you decide to do it with an agency. Because number two is education is equally important to, again, before you get into the game. Right? Again, I already said how to read, interpret what you need when you need it, know when something is working, know when something isn't working, how to find out what you need. Boom. You need a blueprint for the reason so that you can tackle what you need with a plan. And you know what's supposed to go when, what letters or what documentation you're supposed to include to letters to the bureaus, and what letter or what documentation you aren't supposed to include when you send something off to the collection agencies, right? Also, number two is that if you ever decide to go with a credit repair company, you make an informed decision based on their process. Because, see, let's be honest. Most people have been through multiple credit repair companies or have given up for the following reasons. And I'm going to read this verbatim because I wrote, let me say something, verbatim, because I wrote this down to a T last night. The reason why a lot of people will go through many credit repair companies or just give up when they're trying to figure it out themselves through these Facebook groups is for a couple reasons. Number one, they don't understand what they need. You go to a credit repair company and you don't know how to interpret your file and you just completely send your power over to them, they gonna have you sending off letters for accounts that don't need to be removed from your file. There are certain closed accounts on your file that need to remain there. They need to remain there. Why? Because they have more positive than negative, and it's helping your file more than it's hurting your file. But you got to know when to say, okay, these accounts should stay, these accounts should leave. You right. Or you may not need to, because I'm telling you right now, most of these companies, they're only handling letters. They ain't telling you how to build strategies, behaviors, consistency. They're not giving you the roadmap, the blueprint to get to the score that you need to go to. A lot of these companies are making it seem as if it happens overnight. And no, it happens over nights and months and sometimes years of doing the same behavior consistently. Because now you got to overpower all the bad stuff you did in the past. Right? So what you may not need is letters to go off to a bureau or a collection agency. But they going to take your money just because they see some closed accounts in there and they're like, oh, well, this person doesn't really know what the process is. They just know they want these accounts removed. Whole time, an account get removed that should have stayed and now your score went down. You confused. But if you had the education, you would know, okay, maybe this account need to stay. Okay, no. This one probably needs to go. And you can direct them on what they need to know or what they need to do. And then you can also find out their process. Hey, do you only work with repair or do you help with building as well? Because at the end of the day, yes, getting a sweep, a clean is great. Getting trade lines, oh my God, that's great. However, there is primary things that need to happen with you. There are behaviors that need to happen with you. Sometimes you need to build, and that's pretty much all you need to do is build. Because if you get that negative account removed, guess what? Just because it's negative now doesn't mean that the whole time you had that account it was negative. If it was more positive than negative, hey, you don't need to remove that. That is something that you need to keep because it's helping you more than it's hurting you. You see what I'm saying? Education. Education is key, right? Number two, the reason why you may have given up or been through multiple companies is you're not patient with the process. Again, it does not happen overnight. But your credit repair company or your credit coach or whomever you're working with, they have to set the expectation of, hey, This is where you coming from. You're going to see that you're going to get to the 600s, but it might take you a little bit more longer. It might take you a little bit longer to get to 700s or 800s because a huge chunk of your credit file is time. It's time that you have to build up organically because they need to see what your new behaviors are. You see what I'm saying? Number 3 is maybe you've been through multiple people or given up because you've been scammed. But again, when you have the education, you can make an informed decision. But you're going to have to buckle down, get over that fear, and get to somebody, get to working with somebody, or get the education that you need. It took me 3 years to put this masterpiece together, to give you a blueprint, to help you understand and interpret your file so that you know what to do in any case, any situation. And then number 4, a lot of y'all keep going through repair companies or giving up because you keeping the same bad behaviors and expecting a different result. How? You're not going to change what happened to get you in this mess? You want them to keep clearing your file, but you're not going to change what got you into this mess? Absolutely not. That's not how this goes. So what's the solution? Brittany, how do I fix this? What do I do? You need to educate yourself. And after educating yourself, you need to follow the blueprint. All right? Now, let me go ahead and kill these objections because I know they're coming. Well, Brittany, I don't got no time. No excuse. It's quarantine. No excuse. A lot of us are stuck at home. This is the perfect time to get your education on. Especially because you talking to somebody who, they be like, oh, I'm so tired. I got to work. I got to do this. I got to work. I schedule time for myself. I schedule time for my meditation. Yeah, meditation. I was saying medication. I was trying to make sure I didn't say medication. I schedule time for my meditation. I schedule time for me. But I also schedule time to make sure that I'm on point. Because at the end of the day, you got forces working against you. You got forces back there working against you. So what are you going to do to make sure that you are not just completely handing over your power and you know what you're doing before you get into it? The next one is money. No excuse. No excuse. Because again, I'm having a webinar, a free credit webinar or a free credit training on Saturday where I'm giving you education, free education, for you to then go seek the blueprint for free on YouTube or Google. How to read reports on YouTube. If I have negative items, what do I need? You can Google that. You see what I'm saying? For free. After you have a little bit of education. And then if you say, well, I got a little bit of money, let me figure out what I could do. $25 will get you the book. $199 to get you the full blueprint of what you need. And on top of giving you the blueprint, you have monthly trainings with me once you're in my community. So I don't want to hear that either. So for folks who say, oh, it ain't worth paying the $200 for what I can find on Google, more power to you, right? I look forward to hearing your results because at the end of the day, I want you to win, whether it's with me or without me. But for any folks out there who may feel like that but just are saying that blindly because they don't know or they don't understand, let me tell you something. You cannot get Yeah. You can't get that. You cannot get that training. You can't get that type of support if you don't first put yourself out there. So for those of you who need to do it for free, get into these Facebook groups, right? But when you get in there, don't get in there blindly. Educate yourself on what you need before you put yourself out there. Because if you're just tuning into the live, you might want to wait till I post this replay so that you can hear what I was saying in the beginning. Because we're kind of towards the end right now. But so that you can hear from the beginning. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure it doesn't matter if you're with me or if you're with somebody else. At the end of the day, the major important thing before you begin starting to send letters off, the major thing before you start to just add a whole bunch of credit cards to your file is check your education. Make sure that you have the education to know the difference between when you're supposed to send something to the bureaus, when you're supposed to send something to the collection agencies, the instructions of how to send things to the bureaus versus how to send things to the collection agencies. You need to know how to interpret their responses. You need to know how to interpret okay, I'll put it like this in two parts. Interpret the collection agency responses to know what's a validated letter, what's an invalidated letter, and interpret the bureaus versus what's considered validated, what's considered invalidated, when it's time to do a counter lawsuit. Make sure that your ducks is in a row so that you do not get yourself messed up. Make sure that. I will be having a free training on Saturday providing bomb education. So I don't want to hear the excuse of time and money, because you got 90 minutes. 90 minutes on Saturday is all I need from you. 90 minutes, right? And it's free. So time and money should not be the excuse as to why you're not there and present. Okay? Boom. And another thing I want to say is, because I know we're in a pandemic, so I don't want to sound insensitive when I say money shouldn't be an excuse. Because here's what I mean when I say that. If you are spending money during this pandemic on things that are not going to help grow you, but yet you're complaining that you're tired of being stuck in the same position, that's where I mean the disconnect. Or that's why I mean money should not be an excuse, because you have the money, yet you're choosing to spend it on things that are not going to grow you. And here's what I mean. I have self-care, right? So say, for example, if I got $300, I might invest in a program. I might go take myself on a $50. So say, for example, I might spend $200 on a program, because I invest in myself. I do, right? Because I know I don't have it all. Sometimes I got to go get the blueprint from somebody else, right? So I'll go get me a program. Then I'll go get me a $50 massage, and I'll go take myself on a $50 dinner date. That way I spent money on stuff that gave me self-care. However, I've also spent time to make sure that I've invested in educate myself, because that's the most important key. And especially because of this comment right here. Can you just pay stuff off? In some cases, that's a good thing. In some cases, it's not. Right? It all comes back to the blueprint. Knowing when is the right time to pay stuff off. Knowing when knowing when it's the wrong time to pay stuff off. Knowing when something is going to. Because sometimes people have that misconception of, hey, I'm going to just go ahead and pay this off. It should boost my credit score. And then they get that rude awakening when it goes down to a zero balance on their report. Again, this is why you guys need the education. So I strongly advise you guys to be on that free credit training on Saturday. It's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. The link, if you're on Instagram, the link is in my bio. For Facebook, once we get off of this, I'm going to edit the title and put that there so that you guys can go ahead and sign up for the free credit training that's happening on Saturday. Because I'm telling you right now, I have clients who have wasted money. I have had clients that have wasted time. They wasted energy, and they end up right back at square one. So before you guys just go off to start sending letters off, before you guys just go off to going in these Facebook groups blindly trying to figure it out, educate yourself first. That is the most important piece to the puzzle, is education. Because number one, everyone's file is not the same. So in order to make an educated decision, you have to be an educated consumer. So you need to understand what to send off, when to send off, how to interpret your report, how to interpret different things. And it's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. And things are different. Every file is different, sir. Every file is different. What happens if your debt is less than 1,000? It doesn't matter if your debt is less than 1,000 or if your debt is 20,000. It matters what's reporting on your file, how it's reporting on your file. So if I was you, because I know you said that you wanted to do it on your own, I would get on Google and start understanding how to interpret your report first before you just kind of thinking, oh, let me just pay it off. Let me just do that. You need to understand that type of stuff first. Since you want to go that route, that'll be your best bet, is how to interpret your file first, and then walk into that milestone of, and then also another free resource will be those free credit repair groups. Get in there and try to piece together that blueprint there if you are going to do it yourself. But before you do that, first understand how to interpret your file to know what you need to send off and when you need to send it off before you go off and just send off letters. All right. So yeah, the free training is going to be this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. Even for the general public, it's the same thing. This is what I was saying earlier in the live as well. It doesn't matter if it's for general or if it's for yourself in particular. It doesn't matter. You still have to follow that first thing, which is getting the education first before you just go off and you send letters off, before you just get off and start paying things. You have to know what you're working with, whom you're working with, these collection agencies you're working with, these bureaus that you're working with, that entire process before you begin sending letters off. So that was what I was saying earlier in the live. For anyone who is looking to do it themselves or who is looking to hire someone and make an intelligent decision, it's going to come down to interpreting your file and educating yourself. I promise it ain't hard. It's not hard. All you need is the education and the blueprint, and you make it happen. You make it happen, Captain. You make it happen. I posted a photo last night because I'm creating a running list of different things that different results that clients have received, and it's whether, and these are like I don't know, it's probably gonna take me a whole like couple days to add everything and everybody in there, but some of these clients are clients that I've worked with one-on-one when I was in my older program, when I was doing everything for them. Some of them are clients who got the $200 package and they've been doing it themselves. And then you also have some that are in my VIP program. So I'm just going to kind of read off some of the things that are going on. I had, at this time, before I added in some more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 people on this running list at the time that I posted last night hit over 700, whether they were just over a 700. They had 0 items on their file. They had accounts deleted. People got approved for home. People are now investing. People are now doing velocity banking. People are removing negative student loans accounts. Over 200-point increases with 7 accounts removed. Somebody had 4 accounts removed, 60-point increase, 150-point increase, and they got approved for their home. But I'm saying all of this to say nobody's file is the same. Nobody's file is the same. None of these folks that have worked with me, whether it have been directly, indirectly, using the program, or whatever the case is, nobody's file was the same. But you know what was the same? How to interpret their file. How to read their file. That was the one thing that was consistent across the board. And once they knew how to do that, they soared. They soared. So I cannot wait to see you guys on the free training on Saturday. Bring your questions there. And yeah, we out like Chica Scouts. Bye, y'all.